Hey kids, Inverted Cow here and welcome back to Empyrion Multiplayer. It's been a while since I've done an episode and I know I've had a few people ask me, are you still recording? Yes, I'm still recording. Let me show you all what's been going on so you understand why things are kind of grinding out to a real halt. What I have been up to is I fly out to the asteroid fields on our sector map. Each of these asteroid fields has a space station in it that regenerates every day. I fly out to those asteroid fields. I jump in the multi-turrets. I knock out the space station. I jump in the multi-turrets and I completely strip it down. That takes upwards of 4 hours to do by myself. I then throw all the components in the constructor and I make combat steel. And I have been bringing all of that combat steel back here and putting it on the carrier. A TCS Tiger Claw has been taking up a lot of combat steel. As of this point, I am still doing layout. I have a bridge section, or a forward bridge section to do. I've got the main section to do. This wing is mostly, or these wings are mostly laid out. There is a midpoint wing here that has to be laid out. There's some body sculpting that has to happen. Bloody sun. I don't know if they changed the directions of the sun or what, but anyhow. There's some body sculpting that has to happen right here, which you can't really see right now because, you know, there's a shadow on that one spot. But this has to happen, I believe, on both sides. I actually am testing on this side. I have to do some more work over on that side as well. But this outcropping here has to come forward. I haven't even started the runway section in between or any of the lower deck and main hangar decks underneath here. This all has to go in. And then I have to start laying out all the internal rooms and internal components and compartments and stuff. For the first little while, this is going to be basically a large vacant shell. However, that being said, that is what has been taking a lot of my time. Mainly because I don't really like to build video recordings, because for every hour of recording footage, I can spend upwards of 2 to 3 hours in editing, post-editing, in compiling and uploading and reviewing and all the stuff that has to happen for making a video that's even worth watching. Spending 12 to 14 hours building, and for the most part having me sit there with a paint gun and put dashes on a deck so that I can count the number of squares, so I can find the center point of the deck, so I can figure out where certain spacing should go, how far things should be, is really very, very, very tedious. And exceptionally time consuming. Of course, coming back and watching me sit there and place 22 degree slopes, for example, you're just watching me pick 2 blocks and drag them back and forth, and honestly, that's not exactly what I call interesting. It's not easy to make it into an interesting video. It's not easy to make it into an interesting footage. So I'm going to fly around this thing for a few seconds here. I'm going to give you kind of a preview of where we're at. This is the byproduct of about a week and a half to 2 weeks of building. As you can see, we're still very skeletal stage. I haven't started doing any actual angles um, or lay out any of the actual components in this in the ship itself. Um, most of the stuff, and I'm still going by just a couple of images, so most of the stuff is strictly by guess and by golly. But yeah, here's where we're at. So for you build video fans, what I am going to attempt to do is I'm going to pause here. I'm going to do some more layout and some more building, and I've got half a dozen stacks, so I'm going to place a stack or two, I'm going to fly around the ship a little bit, and I'm going to place another stack or two, and I'll fly around the ship a little bit. And we'll see how that goes, because honestly, I really, yeah, building on this game isn't the hard part. It's the getting everything laid out part of this kind of a build that is the hard part. Especially at this phase where it's strictly in skeletal point. So I'm going to pause here. I'm going to pick it up after I have placed a whole whack of blocks, and we'll see where we're at. So don't go away, kids. We'll be right back in 1,000 blocks. Okay, we've just hit the end of one full stack of blocks. Just finishing off this one line here, and then I'll show you what we have got going on. Oh, come on. Of course, you gotta just go random misclicks. That's right, stretch a couple of thousand blocks, 3 blocks at a time. There we go. I paint the pink so that when I get over to the other side, I know what blocks I've had to alter or change, because sometimes you make mistakes, you get misclicks, or sometimes you just remove blocks to maintain a shape. This, for example, I had to remove most of the side. I made an error on the front. I took it forward too far. I show you all of that just by flying over to the far side of the map here. And you can see all the pink blocks. Everything here that's pink is something that has to be removed. And it shows up very nicely. I mean, if you were skilled with the ship multi-turret, you could probably even multi-turret it off. I made an error figuring this section out, so that's got to get removed and repaired. But there we go. I'll go back to the other side. We've added on this section of hull and the shaping for it all the way down. Because on the picture it has this flat, it slopes down and it's got this flat slope out. Then there's like some kind of a unit on the side. Almost looks like it would be like a side-mounted weapons loading platform of some kind. Holds 6. It looks like it holds 6 fixed launchers firing sideways of some sort. So I'm not sure exactly how it is that these are set, but this is the next thing I have to figure out. There's a couple of weapon turrets showing right up here. that have to come out. These I'm just going to place, because I can't put the weapons on that would match, I'm just going to put 5x5 for artillery turrets. So it's 3, 4, 5, and then they come up from here. And I'll do is I'll angle it like that. Is that not 5 wide? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. You go. Yeah, there. I'll angle it like that. I'll round it a little bit more. But these sit this way. Like so. That gives me a rough outline approximation of where things should sit on these outboard turret items. And then right in this area here, white please, somewhere in this area here is a unit that is rounded, sticks out even further, comes forward of this thing here a couple of squares and does the same. Yeah, this goes all the way forward to the front here, actually. Rounds from here back. So what I'm going to have to do is figure this dimension out from here to there. Divide that in two, figure out how that's going to lay out, count it, and maybe jump on plots and see if I can figure out a semicircle that would match that. And that'll be another thing that will get laid out. Probably not tonight because I really, like I said, I'm trying to do a little recording on the video here. So that's one detail that has to be dealt with. There is another detail to the front that has to go in, and then there's a detail in the wings. And just checking my pictures here for a second. Okay. So coming forward of these wings just slightly, so we've got these wings ending here, and then they don't go all the way down, they only go down to this point here, so all I'll have to do is carry this line out. So these lines will go down. So I'll finish this off later. Those have to go down like that, and then in this flat section here, there is an arched wing heading downward. So let's take it forward, say 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is where I'm going to start that wing. I went a little crazy in the trade center earlier, and I sold my texture tool, so I have to cook up a new one here. This is the wing, so this is just going to go forward. I'm going to carry it all the way forward here, like so. Need to get an idea of where it would land on here. That. And then it's, yeah, that's my curve. So it basically matches up with my curve. I actually think this curve here, this texture here should actually be back a little bit more here someplace. It's kind of hard to tell because I'm trying to keep compound angles in 3 different directions going. So that's how that goes. But there's a wing that goes in there that I'm going to have to start building, and it's a curve down. So I'm going to cut here. I'm going to get myself a little bit more organized, do some more counting and figuring, and I'll be back after I've placed the remains of this stack, and probably a little bit more. So don't go away, kids. Be right back. Okay, I've done a little bit more layout here. As you can see, I have spray painted where this device goes, as well as where this lower wing begins. This wing comes out, and then it kind of tapers back in and juts down. I've also done the layout for a lower compartment that goes in the middle here. Now these, of course, are going to be just literally covered straight over with blocks, so that I can see what they are and where they kind of go. And again, it's drag some lines of blocks and place some blocks. Now I'll have to go back over these. A lot of these blocks will probably be pulled out and smoothed, but now what I'm going to have to do is figure out where this arch comes out and where it angles back in, because it's a very weird angle. But I have to try to keep this line through the whole thing, which is really probably going to be fairly challenging, because it sticks out quite a ways, and I have to kind of eyeball it, so I need it to line up with this line here about. Which is sort of like that-ish. Right about there. These are the parts of the ship that add the depth and the overall height, or the overall width to the ship build itself. again, I'm still building just skeletal structure. I haven't done any additional angling, any of the extra armor layers, that sort of thing. As I actually start building the ship itself, some of these areas will be filled with components, and other areas will just literally be hollow sections of combat steel. I'm not going to fill them completely solid because that's just ridiculous. But like this will probably end up being thickened by a couple of layers. I may actually put there'll be some weapons on this pylon, not in this wing, but on this pylon. Oh dear, I'm running out of oxygen again. This is part of why I've said that building is actually the most dangerous part of this game for me. Because I'll get focused on a build, forget what I'm doing, and starve to death or suffocate or some other foolish nonsense like that. Now, this travels backwards at a 45-degree angle. So keeping this circle round, I'm going to bring it back very sharp until it almost matches up with the back end. So what I have to do is bring the back end out. Am I on this layer here? Full drag away. That's 12. That's almost 12 blocks away. Now the problem is it doesn't just go straight back like that. It also, I believe, arches down. Probably about just slightly into that curve. So how am I going to do that? It actually appears that this is a series of 22s. So what we'll do is we'll actually make a couple of 22 slopes to about here. Let's say about 5 or 6 of them. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. One more for good measure. 5. Okay, so that it would be the top of the wing. Whoops, not there. That would be the top of the wing. I ran out of blocks. Again, this is all heavy cut out. from here, the angle goes down and back at a 45-degree slope. So it's like this. You brat. Seriously? That one, that's the other one that's wrong, right there. Yeah, we're almost in line with that winglet, so that's where we want to end. Oh, I think I got that wrong. That should be a block there and there. Now the problem is I now have to figure out how to carry this angle in the same sequence. This angle and that angle, and this part of the angle. So all three of these lines have to follow now that line down and back. I then have to repeat the process on this line here. This whole unit here is going to be another challenge altogether. So now you know how things are going and exactly why there hasn't been videos out every day, because it's a lot of grinding. I've been at this for a couple of hours now since I started recording this, and I'm probably going to be zapping a lot of blocks for a little while and redoing it all over again, doing a lot more counting, laying out, planning, plotting, figuring things out, that kind of thing. So thanks all for watching, kids. I'll see you on the next episode, where hopefully we will get into doing something a little bit more interesting than me just randomly placing blocks in space. Thanks for watching, and good night for now.